The first 6 people to face trial in Inauguration Day protests that turned destructive in the nation's capital were acquitted of all charges, a victory not only for the defendants but also for advocates who argued the government overreached in its effort to prosecute more than 200 people arrested as they marched through the city. Following a nearly 4-week trial and 2 full days of deliberations, a District of Columbia Superior Court jury delivered not guilty verdicts Thursday on multiple charges of rioting and destruction of property. The defendants, including a nurse for cancer patients, a freelance photographer and a college student, joined throngs of protesters who took to the streets January 20 to protest Donald Trump's election. Prosecutors said the 6 were among a group that cut a violent swath through 16 blocks of the city, smashing businesses' windows, tossing newspaper boxes into the street and damaging a limousine. Authorities tallied the damage at more than $100,000. As the jury foreman read the not guilty verdicts, the defendants began to smile. One of them, Alexei Wood, a 37-year-old freelance photographer from San Antonio, covered his face, sat down and began sobbing. Outside the courtroom, Wood and the other defendants hugged one another and their supporters. One, in tears, pulled out her iPad to FaceTime her family and friends. Jennifer Armento, 38, a Philadelphia woman who was among the 6, said the verdict shows the country that the jury was unwilling to do what the government wanted them to do, which was criminalize dissent. Oliver Harris, 28, a Drexel University doctoral student who was charged, said the acquittal was the only just verdict. He called his arrest and trial repeatedly traumatizing. Also acquitted were Michelle Macchio, 26, of Naples, Florida, Christina Simmons, 20, of Caucasville, Maryland, and Brittany Lawson, 27, of Pittsburgh. Protesters made themselves heard in the nation's capital Friday, leaving a trail of damage along some city blocks, disrupting security checkpoints at President Donald Trump's inauguration, and clashing with police as Trump supporters tried to celebrate. As people poured into the city to watch Trump, protesters made themselves heard in the nation's capital Friday, leaving a trail of damage along some city blocks, disrupting security checkpoints at President Donald Trump's inauguration, and clashing with police as Trump supporters tried to celebrate. As people poured into the city to watch Trump. From the start, defense attorneys said their clients and most others in the group of about 500 were peacefully protesting, while only a handful peeled off and became violent. They criticized police for failing to identify those people and said officers unfairly herded a group of about 200 and charged them with rioting. During his closing argument last week, attorney Stephen McCool, who represented one of the men on trial, appealed to jurors to protect the rights of free speech. But prosecutors said the demonstration, planned by a group that calls itself Disrupt J20, was aimed at destruction, not freedom of expression. Authorities say the group used black bloc tactics, wearing dark clothing and hiding their faces with masks and goggles so it would be harder to identify them.